Hello class, welcome to lesson 1-3, rates. For this lesson, we are going to talk about rate, unit rate, and unit price. Unit meaning the word for one, so the price of one, or the rate for one, minimum rate, or the price of just one. Remember that the word rate comes from the word ratio, which means the comparison of two units, two numbers, like kilometers per hour or oranges to apples. Let's get familiar with some more vocabulary. Use your glossary, which starts on page GL1, to complete the definitions of the vocabulary words in the table. Now let's just do this together in the video. Again, you take note of what you feel would be important to know or you think it will help you. There's a definition. What is a fraction? Well, a number that represents part of a whole, right? Part of a whole. Or part of a set. So sometimes you might hear about a fraction of a pie or a fraction of a pizza or a fraction of time. Whenever we talk about a fraction, we're only talking about a part of a whole, not the whole thing. So here's some parts of a whole. Here I have 1/2, which is 1 out of 2, or a half of it, right? Because 1 is half of 2. 3/4, 3 out of 4. This is also 3/4, okay? But 9 out of 12. And the reason it's 3/4 is because on the 9 you have 3 threes, and on the 12 you have 4 threes, right? So 3 out of 4. And then 45/3. Remember, this fraction right here is considered an improper fraction. It's improper because the numerator is larger than the denominator. So you could actually just divide, right? You would go 45 divided by 3, and you get 15, which is a whole number. It's no longer a fraction. So this is really not a fraction. It's an improper number, improper fraction. Okay, then, if we know what a fraction is, which is part of a whole, what's a ratio? Although a fraction and a ratio look the same, look here, 2 out of 3. Doesn't it look like a fraction? It's not. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. So in a ratio, we compare two quantities. We say 2 out of 3, so 2 people out of every 3 like the color blue, you could say. Or 2 to 3, 2 girls to 3 boys in each class, meaning there's, for every 3 boys, there's going to be 2 girls in the number of students in class. 2 to 3, or 2 to 3, 2 out of 3. So what we're doing is we're comparing two values. Well, this is only one value. A fraction is only one number. The thing is, we're saying how much of that number we have. We have a half, we have 3/4, or we have an entire 15 of them. While here we're comparing two numbers, 2 apples to 3 oranges. And as we mentioned earlier, the word rate comes from the word ratio. So rate. So a ratio comparing two quantities with different kinds of units. So a rate is still a ratio, but it's not comparing apple to oranges, it's comparing two quantities of different kinds of units. Well, I guess you could technically say apples and oranges are different units, but really what we're trying to say here, when we compare two different kinds of units, we could be comparing miles to hours. So 36 miles in 3 hours, which would be 12 miles in 1 hour. 12 miles per hour, is what we could say. A rate could also be money for an item. $26 for 5 bags. Okay, those are two different units. Money and bags are different units. 19 songs in 5 minutes. Again, this is telling you, comparing this many, how many songs took place in 5 minutes. That would be considered a rate. A rate of pay. When you go work somewhere, you're going to receive a rate of pay. That means you're going to receive a certain amount of money per hour. That's your rate. And then finally, unit rate. Unit rate is when we bring it down to 1. You notice here how I did 36 and 3. I found the greatest common factor, which is 3, and 3 into 12 here, and 3 into 1 here, so 12 and 1. You see it? 12 and 1. That would be bringing it down to 1. So a unit rate is a rate that is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1. So let's repeat that. I'll change that to red because I'll keep the theme going of red. Of 1. So let's repeat that. So a unit rate is a rate, just like we saw here, comparison of two units, that is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1, meaning the bottom number will become 1, like we did here. 12 miles per hour. $5.20 for one bag. 3.8 songs in 1 minute. All ones. We're bringing it down to the unit, to the one. So the price for one, essentially. And a real-world example. Desiree typed a 15-character text message in 5 seconds. She did 15 characters, which means 15 letters, spaces, colons, half brackets to make a smiley face. So she did 15 characters in 5 seconds. Do you see how this is a ratio? We're comparing two different units, but it's a rate because we're explaining how they associate with one another. 15 in 5, 15 characters in 5 seconds. What operation would you use to write the fraction in simplest form? I would find the greatest common factor. For 5, we have factors 5 times 1, and for 15, 5 times 3. So how many 5s on the top? We said 3, and on the bottom, only 1, right? Because this is 5 times 1, and 5 times 3. There it is, 3 over 1. So what operation would you use? I would use division. I found the greatest common factor, and I divided each of these numbers by that factor. So I divided, the greatest common factor between these two is 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. As always, please make note of the pink section. This is our key concept. So what are we learning? A rate is a ratio comparing two quantities of different kinds of units. We've mentioned that already. But a unit rate has a denominator of 1 when the rate is written as a fraction. To write a rate as a unit rate, divide the numerator and the denominator of the rate by the denominator. So essentially, you're dividing the top divided by the bottom, and that's how you get to 1. See, 15 characters in 5 seconds. What we did was we took the top, 15 divided by 5 is 3. Do you see that? And then the 3 is just simply over 1 to explain that we have brought it down to the unit rate. Examples 1 and 2. Okay, please take a look at how examples 1 and 2 work. Read about Samantha. Read the explanation. See how we have 45 oranges in 5 minutes and how it's brought down to a unit rate, 9 to 1 minute. Okay, the greatest common factor between 45 and 5 is 5. 5 times 1, so we put the 1 there, is 5. And then 45 times 5. So essentially we're dividing 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 5 divided by 5 is 1, because that's the greatest common factor. Take a look at number 2. This would be a good time to pause the video and read through these examples on your own. Then, if you feel comfortable, you pause the video here again, and you complete these 2 questions on your own, and then play it to see my answer, and see that you did it correctly. So pause now. Okay, I hope you paused. Let's see. Emma downloaded 35 songs in 5 minutes. How many songs did she download per minute? So let's write that out. 35 songs, this is question A, by the way, in 5 minutes. Both of these numbers are multiples of 5. You know that we have 1 5 down here, and how many 5s do we have in this top number? Well, I know that I have 1 at the bottom, and 5 times a number is 35. 5 times, okay, 7. Oops, I shouldn't have written a 5 there. 5 times, only 1 5 there, and on top we have 7 of them. So you see here, I have 7 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. So we have 7 songs per minute. So she downloads 7 songs per minute. Let's try B. Jonathan is baking several loaves of bread to sell in his bakery. He used 9 cups of water and 12 cups of whole wheat flour. How much water was used per cup of flour? Again, we want to know how much water was used per cup of flour. So we want to know 9 cups of water, 12 cups of flour, right? 12 cups of whole wheat flour. How do you know which number will go on top and which one will go on the bottom? Well, the one that you want to bring down to the 1 is the one you will put in the bottom. And the question is how much water was used per cup. Per cup is telling you each cup. So because that's the number we want to bring down to 1, that has to be the number on the bottom. And we have 12 cups. Take a look at these two numbers. If I count by threes, I will count each one of these numbers, right? 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 12. I just counted by 3. So both these numbers can be simplified if you divide them by 3. Right? On the top, I have 3 threes, don't I? How many 3s do I have here? 3. Because 9 divided by 3 is 3. And how many 3s do I have in 12? 3, 6, 9, 12. Sounds like 4, right? So 3/4. So the answer is Jonathan used 3/4 of a cup of water per cup of flour. Again, Jonathan used 3/4 cup of water per cup of flour. So for each one. There you have it. For the sake of saving time, take a look at example 3, because you're going to be expected to learn these contents on your own by simply reading through these resources. This is found in your textbook. These are examples in your textbook that you can always go back to and read through and follow the steps to understand. So pause the video now and take about 3 minutes to read through this. Pause now. Okay, I hope you read through it so that now we can try this. It's the exact same style of word problem. So if you follow the steps that you saw in example 3, you should be able to figure this one out. So pause the video now again and try this question on your own and then watch how I do it. Pause now. Okay, let's try it. A hummingbird's heart rate while resting is about 7,500 beats every 30 minutes, so every half an hour. How many more beats does a hummingbird's heart beat in 60 minutes than a human baby's heart? So we must have a graph. Where's our graph? Oh, here is the information. We're going to have to use the information that we gather from here. An adult's heart. Okay, so we're going to compare those. First, I'm going to write down the information given to us, the new information. We have 7,500 beats every 30 minutes. I'm going to write that down. 7,500 over 30 minutes. Okay? And how does that compare to the human? The baby human, because that's what they're asking, right? They're asking how many more beats does a hummingbird heart beat in 60 minutes than a human baby's heart? So then now we're going to compare to the human baby's heart, which is right here. Okay, human baby heart. There it is. 2,600 beats in 20 minutes. 2,600 beats. We need more white space to write this. At the top, I've written the heart rate for the hummingbird, right? We said 7,500 beats in 30 minutes. And the baby is 2,600 in 20 minutes. But they want to know in an hour. We know that we have to bring this up to the 1 hour, which is 60 minutes. So what we did here was we doubled it. We multiplied the 30 by 2. Whatever you do to the bottom of a ratio, you must do to the top, or a rate. So we have to multiply that by 2 as well. Okay? Because remember, we're trying to bring it up to an hour. Understand how much is an hour. And 7,500, but 7,500 is 15,000. 15,000 heartbeats in 1 hour. Let's do the same for the bottom. For the babies, we have to bring it to 60 minutes. And what did we do to the 20? We had to multiply it by 3. 20 times 3 is 60. You see? So you have to do the same to the numerator. Times 3. And 2600 times 3 is going to be 78,000. Or 7,000, sorry, 800. My mistake. 7,800. Remember that the question was, how many more beats does a hummingbird have in an hour than a human baby? So how many more are here? So what they're asking us for is to find the difference. So I will take my 15,000, knowing that's how many beats I get in an hour, and I'm going to subtract 7,800 from it. Okay? 0, 0, 10. This becomes 4, 2, 14, 7. So 7,200 more, almost double the amount of a human baby. We can say, therefore, 7,200 more beats per hour. That's what the hummingbird's heart will do in an hour compared to a human baby's heart. I realize that we are covering a lot of content. Here is another key concept that I need you to write down: the unit price, when we talk about bringing things down to the price of 1, right? You can use what you know about unit rates to find a unit price. The unit price is the cost per unit. To write a price as a unit price, divide the numerator and the denominator of the rate by the denominator. Again, you just divide the top divided by the bottom. So it's $36 for 4 tickets. You see that? $36 for 4 tickets. So how much is each ticket? I have to divide this number divided by 4, and I get 9. So it's $9 for each ticket, because simply if I do 9 times 4, right, I'm going to get my 36. That means that each ticket, you see, I got my 4 tickets, $36 for 4 tickets. And you can see that it's correct. 9 times 4 is 36. So $9 for 1 ticket. That is the unit price. And finally, example 4, financial literacy. 4 potted plants cost $88. What is the price per plant? Again, you have your $88 for 4 plants. Divide the top divided by the bottom, and when you do that, you should get 22 over 1. And you can see it right there. $88 for 4 plants. You divide the top divided by the bottom, 88 divided by 4, it's going to give you 22 for 1 plant. There you go. So the price of a potted plant is $22. Here's your guided practice. Please pause the video now and take a look through it all. Make sure that you feel comfortable with all of the examples so that we can do this in class together as our warm-up. See you then.